All right, baby, it's week one. And one of the biggest matchups of week one, you got Clemson, you got Georgia set to get after it in Atlanta, Georgia, right around a 2-touchdown favorite. Will it end up playing out that way? Because yesterday, Florida State, they were also a double-digit point favorite, and they took that out. I'm not calling my shot right now. We'll predict this game for you on Tuesday on the live show, so make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel, college football every single day. Again, it's week one. Like, let's go, baby. It's week one for us college football sickos, man. The appetizer at week 0, we got it yesterday, and golly, it was beautiful. But now we're jumping headfirst into the college football season. Want y'all a part of this, so make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Also now, make sure you are following me on the socials, right? On Twitter, at JD Piquel, also on Instagram, at JD Piquel. A lot of content for you there that we don't do on here. So let's take an early look at this thing. Let's take just an early little peek at what we got, because we've talked about the way too early look. We've done most important things. Let's take an early look at this game before we give you our prediction on Tuesday. First thought that comes to mind when I break this whole game down is I'm like, man, we talk a lot about the trenches for Georgia. We do, and we talked a lot about the trenches for Florida State yesterday. I don't mean to comp Georgia and Florida State. I'm trying to make the point now that perception and reality sometimes different things. Now, full transparency, I have a higher degree of confidence in what Georgia has on the offensive line than what I believed Florida State's defensive line would look like going into yesterday, but the point remains the same. I think a lot of folks are believing that Georgia has just the trump card up front. Like, they bring back 4 or 5 on the offensive line. Clemson, they have a talented but also pretty young front 7. Peter Woods, I think he's one of the best interior defensive linemen in college football. However, is a sophomore. So we'll see what happens there. Barrett Carter now, older cat, really good. He's going to have a massive game for them. But the reason why this is important is because if Georgia has the advantage that I think they have up front, like, it's going to be like a lot of y'all finance bros when you go out to dinner on the company card, full menus available. Like, anything on the menu you can have. Why? Because of what you do running the football. Okay? Because if Georgia's able to just go inside zone, power, Trevor Etienne right, Roderick Robinson left, it's going to be a long day for Clemson up front. That's the first part of this. That's the obvious part of this. But what that does to open up things downfield, then you let the best quarterback in America cook with Carson Beck. Been whipping that Lambo truck. I think he's going to play like it this upcoming season based on just the overall swag I believe he has coming into the season. Like, I think he's going to play like a quarterback who has his second year under him, who has the swag and the confidence and all those things behind him now. Also, a lot of playmakers now. No Ladd McConkey, no Brock Bowers, but still a lot of names now that I think are going to have a pretty big year. Dominique Lovett, second-year transfer from Missouri, is the guy to watch. The bottom line here is if Clemson has to add in extra numbers consistently to stop the run, like, it's going to be a long day. It will be. But if that's not the case, again, it's perception reality. If that's not the case, if Clemson ends up bowing up a little bit up front, these young bucks make a name for themselves in Atlanta on the defensive side of the football for Clemson. Things get interesting. Because I'm assuming that would make for probably some third and passing for Georgia. You get third and passing for Clemson, like, I think that's all you can ask for. I'm not telling you it favors Clemson, but I am telling you that makes this thing just ever so slightly more interesting. Vegas, again, telling you that Georgia's a 2-touchdown favorite, all that, but I'm just saying that would maybe make things a little bit more enticing, if you will, as the game draws on. Now, this is something we've said before. We will continue to say it again. We'll probably say it in our game prediction. Who's calling the offense for Clemson? And I'm not saying who's on the radio. I'm not saying whose name is on the offense when it comes to the offensive coordinator spot on your game program. I'm saying, is it truly a Garrett Riley offense? Say, JD, he was the OC last year. Yeah, he was the OC last year, but it wasn't his offense. It wasn't his offense. They averaged 4.9 yards a play. 103rd in America. Y'all, that's not what Garrett Riley's offense does. He will scheme guys open. He'll do window dressing. He'll get your defense misaligned. And that is pretty much how he makes his money. That has been his calling card. He is one of the, I believe, best offensive minds in the sport. Up there with his brother. The reason why this is so important, not just because it would probably allow Clemson to have a little bit more of a better offensive output. That's the obvious part. But I mean, like, with the way this game is set up from a matchups perspective, because that's what football is at the end of the day, your matchups versus their matchups. Clemson, as it stands right now, I do not believe has a talent advantage in a lot of these matchups. Trenches, probably not. Secondary versus their wide receivers, probably not. Running backs versus their you see what I'm saying? Probably not. So when you don't have the matchups, what do you have to have? The edge schematically. Again, catch guys misaligned. Catch guys with their eyes in the backfield. And there is some dudes now that are a little bit on the younger side when it comes to who's going to be asked to make plays for Georgia. All right? The linebacker position, safety position, star position, there is going to be some, not maybe inexperience, but maybe a little bit of some youth, okay? Take of that as you want. The bottom line, as much as you can make it a not matchup game for Clemson and dial up some offense, kind of manufacture some offense. Again, what I said with Garrett Riley scheming guys open, that has to happen in this football game. Because if they can draw blood, if they can get a little momentum, again, that's where things would get interesting. You hear me say that's where things get interesting because of what the spread is. I think that's probably a good way to unpack this game as we take an early look at it. Because with Clemson, I'm expecting them to come out swinging. How does Georgia handle that aggression? And I'm not saying this in a sense of, well, we don't know how Georgia's going to react. We don't know if Georgia's going to have the intangibles to handle this moment. I'm not saying that. But I am saying Clemson, I think, is a really talented roster. People talk about what Dabo hasn't done through the portal. Talk about what he's done on the recruiting trail. Talk about who he still has on this roster. Talk about what they got in this last cycle with some of these really talented wide receivers they're going to have playing for them this upcoming season. Young bucks, sure, talented nonetheless. A lot of stars next to their name. Cade Klubnik out of high school, a lot of stars next to his name. Peter Woods, a lot of stars next to his name. You hear what I'm saying. Clemson doesn't have a poor man's roster by any stretch of the imagination. So going back to what I was saying now, if you're Clemson, you're swinging big in this game. And if you're not swinging big from the jump, you're doing it wrong. Because the way that I see it, you are playing the team that is favored, as of right now, to win the whole darn thing. A lot of people are saying, yeah, Clemson, they could make the playoff. They could find their way. And if they win the ACC, get the at-large bid, you're a 2-touchdown dog. A lot of external noise. It's a non-conference game. This is a game where you do not leave Atlanta with any bullets left in the chamber, defensively or offensively. We're bringing our most exotic blitz to the table. We're bringing out the double reverse pass, if that's something you got in the bag, you use it in this game. Say, JD, it's game one. I know it's game one, but it's also Georgia. Okay? You get one shot at the big dog in the sport. Swing for it. If you miss, you miss. You're a 2-touchdown underdog. You better bring some aggression to the table. The beautiful part about this for Clemson, all the pressure is on Georgia. All the pressure is on Georgia. And so for Clemson, can they connect on a punch early? Because if they can now, and Georgia starts to feel a little bit of okay, we got to play conservative. We just got to play our game. And maybe Clemson's just all bets are off. We're shooting from the three-point line every single time. I'm saying metaphorically, that could get interesting. That could get very, very interesting. So again, we'll predict this game for you on our Tuesday live show, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on the On3 YouTube channel on this show, The Hard Count. Gonna be a good time, man. It's week one. I know it's Sunday morning, and maybe by the time you're watching this, it's still early in Sunday morning. It's week one. We're fired up, if you can't tell. Going to be a tremendous slate of games with Clemson and Georgia obviously being a massive part to get that Saturday started. All right, hey, again, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Paquel. Let me know what you think about this game, what these keys to the game are, rather, as we get ready to call our shot on Tuesday. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.